I'm gonna stop the recording.
But hiding in the little dots there.
Happened last.
Sorry, I'm gonna jump in.
And yeah, I guess Kyra, thank you. She started recording it so that we can share this for people who can't attend. And I do get feedback that people are watching that video later and catching up, at least clicking through to the presentation. So it is a nice little capture of what we've learned about here. So we meet for just 1 hour, 4 times a year, the first week of March, June, September, and December. And we rotate the days so people who have other monthly commitments can at least come to some of these meetings. And so between Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So our next meeting is on Thursday, December the 1st. And the hour goes like this: a welcome, and then an update from the recipient of our last quarter's donation. Then 3 presentations by members. The members are chosen by lottery in advance of the meeting, and each one gets 5 minutes to tell us why we should vote for their charity. And then we have a chance for just a brief Q&A on all 3 presentations. And then we vote for one of those causes, and that's who gets our checks this quarter. And everyone writes a $100 check or drops off cash. If you're here in person, we've got the cute basket to put your check in, and if not, you can take it or mail it to the Art Shop Gallery. Joelle is graciously continuing to be our mail receiver. So do not send your check directly to the organization. It's much easier for us to collate them and get them all into one batch and organize them and send them to the organization. There's a couple of exceptions. People with trusts have to sometimes send directly to an organization. We'll notify all the members by email and Facebook about who won, and that way people can participate even if they're not able to be here today. And of course, if you like more than one of these organizations, you can write more than one check. We just do ask that you fulfill your obligation to the $100 for the winning organization. And thank you everyone for the wonderful generosity in donating to the second quarter recipient of Homa Trails Alliance. We'll have an update from Jeannie Walker in just a few minutes. I think she has the most perfect name for someone who's associated with Homa Trails Alliance, Jeannie Walker. And she's going to say how the $12,600 that we've received so far has started to be put to use. So last quarter we had an 84.2% participation. It is lower. I'm going to think that that's a summer thing, and just as we get back in the groove of meeting in person and in this hybrid situation. So if you need to confirm if you are fully paid up, you can check in with me after the meeting in person or by email later. So we did have 5 members that dropped to the inactive list. That happens when they've missed 3 payments in a row, not 3 meetings, but haven't written checks for 3 meetings in a row. We've got 2 members who have requested to be on pause. They let us know that they want to be involved, but they can't be right now. We got 1 new member this quarter. So thank you to everyone who's been encouraging their friends to join us. And as of tonight, we've got 148 current members. Once again, I'm happy to offer an extra incentive to get checks in early. It's definitely a selfish offer on my part because I can get the checks in quickly and I can just process them and be done. But if you have them in by Friday, September the 16th, I'll enter your name in a drawing, and the winner can choose what type of cookie I make, and I'll make at least 2 dozen for them and get them delivered. So I think, oh, can we share screen, Kyra? Just check if that's working.
What are we sharing?
My presentation, yeah, that one. Good. I think we'll, yeah, perfect. Can I see? Okay, so that's who we write checks to. Am I moving it or are you?
Yes,
moving
you
it?
are.
Okay, that. Okay, so I just wanted to give us an update on the money from the last quarter. In addition to the 12,600 raised for Homer Trails Alliance, there was 750 for the Loved and Lost Bench. And that was great. It just proved how powerful collaboration is. It got the 100 Women Who Care on the plaque at the bench. So it all adds up. And Safe Harbor Broadcasting got $100. So we broke the 200,000 mark. So I just think that's really remarkable. And I intend to, we'll see, good intentions, to write a press release to get that to the newspaper that we crossed our 200,000 mark. So thanks again for the generous contributions. It's really making a difference in the community. This is a QR code. There's also a link there. I can include these in the email, but this is how, if you wanted to invite someone, this is an easy way for them to find how to sign up for the newsletter and to complete the membership application. And now, if Jeannie is ready, Carrie, you could stop sharing my screen. Thank you. And Jeannie, I think you are Zoom savvy, and this is your time to spend 5 minutes, up to 5 minutes, to give us an update on what Homer Trails Alliance has been doing.
Okay, thanks, Katrina. Let's see if I can share my screen now. I've got a note that says you disabled the participant screen sharing. So I'm not able to share the screen.
You should be able to now.
I think you should be able to now. Try it again.
Okay.
There you are.
Mower.
Okay. Is that giving you full screen?
Yes. Looks great.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. And I want to thank you on behalf of the entire Homer Trails Alliance board for your June donation. I think our biggest challenge as a fledgling organization was funding. And you guys really gave us the kickoff that we needed so that we could promote and maintain trails in the Homer area. You know, everything on this side of the bay. So we hope you're as thrilled as our board is with the steps we were able to take with that funding. The more than $12,000 that we received has either been spent or it's been committed. So the first thing we wanted to do, of course, was to accomplish some trail work. And I'll just switch to one of the lovely areas on the Homestead Trail. We tried to pick one of the worst spots that really needed some attention. And I do have to say that these pictures were taken before the rain started. So you all know, anybody that hikes Homestead Trail, as it gets rainier and rainier, it gets muddier and muddier down there. So this section of the trail had been logged previously, I think the year before. And with your funding, we were able to spend $2,000 of it on the 4x4s and the 2x6s that you see going down here. It's all volunteer labor, so it was all just materials that your fund paid for. And then on the last picture from that day, you can see this almost 40-foot section of boardwalk, which is treated lumber, was accomplished this summer. And so we were happy to have that. And then we wanted to next get a little better web presence so that we can speak for the trails on this side of the bay. We do have a Facebook page, but we wanted to be able to provide a couple things that Facebook couldn't do for us. And that was, we wanted to be able to have maps available both for all of us that wonder where these trails are and for our visitors to Homer. So we contracted with Jody Massey. We took $5,000 of your funding and contracted with her to accomplish a web page. And we have been working since the spring to kind of ground truth some of the maps. We've been using mapping apps and writing trail descriptions. And over this next winter, we'll actually get that website designed and up. And then one other thing that we wanted to do, and we were able to do because of your generous donation, was that we were looking at all the overgrowth on the trails that we do have and realized that we needed something more than a machete or a weed whacker to take care of it. So we started researching the kind of equipment that would work best. And we talked to the bike club and actually had used some of the bike club equipment in the past, talked to the ski club, and of whom we share many mutual trails. And in the process, we came up with a flailing mower, which is this. And as you can see, it's actually arrived. So this represents another $5,000 investment. And in the process of determining what equipment would work best on these trails, we came to an agreement with the ski club to operate the equipment to our mutual benefit. So you can see the front portion of that, the equipment. I'm not sure if you can see my pointer. Okay, but this portion actually fits, it'll fit up under the ski club's all-terrain track vehicle. And so it needs some modification, but it has arrived and the equipment's being modified so that we can actually operate this flailing mower, hopefully before the snow flies. So that's how your $12,000 was spent. We're so grateful. We were able to really make some big steps because of the funding. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Jeannie. Does anyone have any questions online or here in the room for Homer Trails Alliance?
I wonder if that's something that one person can operate.
Yeah, does it take a team to operate the flailing mower, or is it just one?
Actually, to operate the mower itself, no, it would take one person. But generally, you'd probably have other people with you to throw brush off the trail.
That looks great. Maybe the cycling club will need to borrow that.
Right.
And I've got another question here.
No, I'm Debbie Udiz. I'm also on the board of HPA, and hi, Jeannie.
Hi.
I just want to say that the ability to coordinate with other groups, and including the bike club if they wish, and the ski club has been really beneficial to all the trails. And we also received a $5,000 grant from the Homer Foundation. So we're doing more work on the Homestead Trail. So there's a lot of really terrible muddy areas and bridges that because of that, we've also been able to address. So, you know, this seed grant that we got from 100 Women has made a huge difference in our ability to, you know, really kick off, you know, our kind of the Homestead Trail, which is kind of our, you know, flagship trail, but our goal is to really look at all the trails on this side of the north side, and people love to hike. So, you know, creating that and creating multi-use trails is just really exciting.
That is so great.
Thank you all.
Thanks for the extra update. Okay, so I think we maybe need you to stop sharing, Jeannie, so that we can then share again here.
You bet.
Thank you. And then Carrie, could you just quickly put my presentation back up? Thank you. All right. And so this week, or this quarter, these are our presentations. We've got Hannah Gustafson, who is multitasking. She's managing our Zoom room, and she's going to present about choosing our routes. And then Hannah Young is going to speak and update us. I've got a lot to learn about tiny trees, so that sounds great too. And then Adele's going to talk about Homer Drawdown. So I think just from looking at that, you can tell that this is going to be a really fun vote. And I think Hannah's going to go first, so we probably need to stop sharing mine and start sharing hers, and then Hannah, I'll time 5 minutes and you'll hear my little bell go, so.
Good. Make sure that there's-
Yes.
Okay, show it that way.
Can you do the slideshow?
Sure. It's muted now.
But it has you on there, not me. How did that happen?
Is that the trees? Okay. Hi, multitasking mother here.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
Can we advance here with us? You should be able to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ruby. All right. Thank you all. Pleasure to be here. My name's Hannah, and tonight I am presenting to you on behalf of Choosing Our Roots. It's an organization committed to safely housing queer youth. And this organization is near and dear to my heart, and I have a lot of stories to tell about why, but my young person in my life told me they weren't my stories to share, but the story that I do want to share is a community story. And it is about the fact that a couple months ago, it was brought to my attention that there was an effort within our community to basically ban all LGBTQ+ books from the Homer Library, from the children and young adult sections. And I was really taken aback by that, because that is not the welcoming, safe, and inclusive Homer that I know and love and want my children to be growing up in. So Choosing Our Roots is an amazing organization that got started a few years ago with Alaskans sitting around a table trying to figure out how they could come together to combat homelessness, specifically for queer and trans youth who are being pushed out of their biological families' homes, foster homes, and even shelter systems within the state. And so they decided to draw upon a structure that we've used in Alaska for many, many years to support these young people, and that is to put them in the homes of neighbors who care about them and want to see them thrive. Choosing Our Roots was established in 2017 and began operating in 2019. They originally started to serve Anchorage and the Mat-Su, but they were continuing to get requests from across the state, the majority of them actually coming from the Kenai Peninsula. So in 2020, during the pandemic, they actually opened Kenai Peninsula arm, and also they're in Western Alaska and Bethel now as well. The vision of the organization here is that the realization of a dream held by a coalition of youth, parents, mentors, and community members searching for a more effective and lasting way to address homelessness among the LGBTQ+ youth in Alaska. And their mission is to ensure that all queer Alaskan youth and young adults have access to safe homes, supportive communities, and opportunities to thrive. Some recent data from the organization in 2021, they did a small survey of youth within the Mat-Su and the Kenai Peninsula and found that 46% of those respondents had experienced homelessness, and 28% of them had not had the money they needed for medication and services in that past year. While there are many providers that serve youth in these high-risk situations, oftentimes LGBTQ+ youth do not always see them as resources, because in this survey, 35% of them said that they had not accessed care because of fear that providers would be transphobic or anti-gay, and 12% of them were afraid of being outed by the providers. This is taken directly from COR's website. I think their principles will speak to all of us of dignity and respect, empowerment, cultural relevancy, community, and hope. And this paragraph really talks about what they believe and how they operate. COR recognizes that no two participants are the same. We take the time to get to know our youth participants so that we can help them select a host home to fit their needs based on their beliefs, values, habits, and lifestyles. Youth participants are engaged in each step of the process in order to identify and address their needs so that the youth participants can grow into confident, competent, and young adults on their own terms. The model is that there's volunteer host homes within communities across the state and a staff, and the COR works with these young people, and we're talking about ages 13 to 24, in order to help them find stable, safe, and affirming housing. The system is intended to build long-term relationships between young people and the volunteers that host them and work with the organization, as well as other community members that are concerned about their well-being. This is a story, actually, a little close to home here, of a success story. So at a time when temperatures on the peninsula were well below freezing and the pandemic was severely limiting shelter, COR staff met a young person who neither had safe housing or transportation. With their emergent supplies funding, they were able to provide them with emergency housing and a bicycle. Once housed, this young person was able to ride their bike to participate in an art apprenticeship program at the local museum. And they were able to connect with community in ways that were vital to improving their mental health and well-being. So why housing is a big part of this. Connection, support, relationships are also a big part of their model. The current situation is that this is a very young organization, but they're growing. And they, as I mentioned, expanded in 2020 onto the Kenai Peninsula and have been evolving their services throughout the pandemic, finding ways to serve the youth that they're created to serve. They're mainly supported by some government partners, foundation grants, and individual donors like you, which is where the majority of their unrestricted funds comes from. And I'm out of time.
Finish your slide.
Okay, this is the last one. So with the book banning effort and winter just around the corner, I feel that now is a really important time to support Choosing Our Roots. We need to show the LGBTQ+ youth and young adults in our community that we see them, value them, and love them. And I believe that Choosing Our Roots is the organization best positioned to demonstrate that support. If chosen tonight, all of the funds will go to support the expansion of the Kenai Peninsula program, supporting the youth and young people directly here on the Southern Kenai. So, and that's their website. If you were interested in learning more, being a host, a volunteer, or if you know a young person that's in need of services, there's a quick, easy button on their front page that you can click. Thank you.
Thanks,
Other presentation.
Uh-oh. You're right.
And you can move it with the arrows and you can cite with that one.
Great. Well, that's a hard one to
Yeah.
follow.
Oh.
All right.
Ready? Okay. I'm Hannah Young, and I am a mother of 2 boys, 5 and 7. I love the outdoors. I'm really passionate about high quality childcare, especially in our community. And I am the owner of Tiny Trees Homer's Forest School. Over the last 10 years in Homer, I've worked as a skills trainer. I've been the Catchment Kids Early Learning Center director, worked at Head Start, at Sprout, and now I'm supporting a lot of different programs and childcares in Homer. Before I go to the next slide, one interesting thing that I recently read in 2021, the US Chamber of Commerce in Alaska did a study, and they found that 36% of adults with children delayed their higher education due to lack of childcare. 77% reported missing work for lack of childcare, and 40% lost or changed their jobs because of a lack of childcare. And that's across the state.
I need this for you.
That's right.
Next slide.
Next slide. So Tiny Trees opened about 6.5 years ago when my son was about half a year old. And our mission is to support families through a multi-age kindergarten, childcare, parenting support, and love from all of our teachers. And our vision is to give families a supportive space that nourishes a love for nature, learning, and provides children with opportunities to foster a sense of wonder. In Homer, we have 5 programs. Cottonwood Buds, Seedling Grove, Young Saplings, and Wild Spirit. All of them are individual businesses that are owned, and they right now can only take 4 students per day. If they take more than 4, they have to be licensed by the state. In Homer, we have 4 licensed programs. 1 is a center and 3 are a home, and that's it. None of those are Tiny Trees yet. I'm the first program that's trying to get a childcare center license. I have 26 students enrolled in my program with 3 employees, and we are partnered leasing a space from Center for Alaska Coastal Studies. Next slide. So our biggest challenge over the last 2 years to get licensed ended up being facility. And so moving up to Center for Alaska Coastal Studies new visitor center gave us some of the aspects that we really needed, which was bathrooms and exit signs and a lot of things related to licensing that my home did not have. So the benefits of having a childcare license and a center licensed in our community is that it helps providers, it helps environment, it gives us access to grants, and it creates more availability. I'm going to go into more detail on the next slide. So it helps providers. If you are a licensed childcare provider, you're able to get yearly training. You can get reimbursements from an organization called Thread in Anchorage. All the providers are CPR certified or required to be to have a center. You also get access to funds for higher education and classes. The benefit of having a program license for the environment is it creates a safer space. There's like a 36-page book we have to go through with all kinds of details to make sure that we're meeting all the requirements for a safe space and making sure it's age appropriate for all the children in care. Next. The big one, it has costed us a lot of money to get to this point of trying to get licensed, but once we're licensed, it opens up a lot of windows for CARES Act, child care assistance, which is a really big one for us. We provide a lot of scholarships for families, which just comes out of general tuition. And if we are licensed, we're able to provide child care assistance for families that are low income and really need the help. And there's a lot of CARES Act money out there as well, and other grants for food and things like that. But first we have to get licensed. It also opens up a lot of availability. So for license, we're able to take on more kids, and all of those programs, the other Tiny Trees, if they were able to get licensed, could take on more children and more staff. And a big piece of this is to try and make forest schools more accessible to our community and to families. Next slide. So this year we've had an increase in our expenses due to licensing. We have to change our insurance. We have our rent, lots of things that we've never had to pay for before. Being an in-home, which used to be in my home, it's really beneficial to be in this new space, but it has added a lot of expenses to the childcare when tuition is the only source of income. Move to the last slide. And I think a couple things that parents have said why childcare is so valuable to them. It's so that they can go to work. And I'll stop there. Yep.
Great.
Thank you.
Great, ready? Yep.
Nice to see all of you. My name is Adele Person, and as many of you all know, I'm really passionate about a walkable community and have done that work partnering with many organizations, including the Homer Trails Alliance, the Bike Club, and most recently, Homer Drawdown. I believe a walkable community really makes us build a vibrant community that is economically vibrant, ecologically vibrant, socially, culturally, physically. It's kind of a way that I feel it binds all of the values. So I'm here tonight to pitch for Homer Drawdown in partnership and under the umbrella of Homer Cycling Club. You would write your checks to the Homer Cycling Club if you were to choose this among these wonderful presentations. Homer Drawdown is a climate change action group that's working to create solutions here at the local level to address like the world's problems. And in 2021, it started with peatlands, protecting peatlands. And then the 2022 solution is non-motorized transportation, or as we're trying to now call it, people-oriented. Sorry, I need to change my slides here. No, now what? Wait, that's not that jumped a bunch.
It was like when you talked about why walkable.
No, well, one skipped. Okay, that's okay. Anyway, so people-oriented transportation. We want to build a walkable and bikeable community that is climate conscious, healthy, and economically vibrant. So it's not really just the climate impact. You know, a walkable and bikeable community has health benefits. The citizens are healthier. It's integrated with things like our recreational trails, and it's economically vibrant as well. So transportation is the largest source of US emissions, accounting for about 27% of our national total. And so if we want to mitigate climate catastrophe, we really have to change the way we move around our communities and also just for ourselves. You know, this is a picture of somebody on Pioneer, and you can see how difficult it is to experience our community on foot and by bike. When you think about our roads, like here on Pioneer Avenue, you know, are you inspired to walk around, to drive into town, to park? Do you feel safe biking from like the bookstore to Old Town? You might live like 10 minutes away from a school, but you let your kids. This is really quite out of order, I think.
Yeah, I think you went back.
Did I?
Maybe if I'm just hit it at the beginning.
Okay, there, sorry. Here's Pioneer Avenue. Look at this poor biker. So, you know, you might live close to the stores, but it's really hard to want to be, you know, to walk and bike when cars are so dominant. So Homer Drawdown itself, it's really skipping like every other of my slides.
Oh, no.
But that's okay. So Homer Drawdown itself has no budget. It's entirely volunteer-led, except for a few weekly hours of a cook inlet keeper employee and a Kachemak Bay Conservation Society employee. And it's not a 501c3 nonprofit itself, but it's partnering with other organizations. So in this case, for this next bunch of work, it's partnering with the Homer Cycling Club, which is a 501c3 and will fiscally sponsor this next work. So what is our plan to change the world? What's Drawdown's plan for this year of action? There's three main strategies. One is to improve infrastructure. That's building sidewalks, adding bike trails, in-town trails, you know, to work together with the out-of-town trails like the Homestead Trail. The second part is to improve policy. That's really like a lot of nitty-gritty stuff like funding and priorities and plans and advocacy. And the third strategy is to change behavior, to actually encourage people to walk and bike, whether it's through incentives and education, and all of those combined, we believe, can change the world. So some of this work has already started. We have volunteer trail work parties that have been done through the Drawdown group all through the summer, and they've been clearing in-town trails and, you know, to start building that network of a walkable and bikeable place. And then on a bigger scale, as many of you have seen, we're finally getting a Main Street sidewalk after years of advocacy. I know, so exciting. But those bigger projects really require the bigger work. And that's where this kind of improving policy comes in. And we're at such a crucial time right now. The city of Homer right now is beginning a Homer transportation plan that will guide our community for the next 20 years, what we do in this next year. And it could look like this. This is the 2005 Homer Area Transportation Plan, which moves vehicles through town. That's really all it talks about. Or it could look like this, which is really about connecting people in our community, whether it's on foot, on bike, by car, and more. Neighborhoods to schools, seniors to commercial districts. So what we need your help for is some of your money would be spent using a project coordinator to help get word out on Facebook about city council meetings, about transportation planning. You would help fund the non-motorized transportation symposium that's happening on October 1st, as well as neighborhood outreach and educational speakers throughout the year. You would help fund some efforts to change behavior. Alaska Bright is an effort that puts reflective tape on kids to make it safer for them to walk and bike to school. Homer Shares the Road is an advocacy campaign teaching user groups how to use the road together, the responsibilities of people on bikes, people on cars, people on foot. You would support bike bucks to encourage people to walk and bike to the farmers market, and maybe we'd expand to some winter projects. And finally, you would support some art actions on Pioneer Avenue to draw attention to the ways that we could envision that place being different. So 100 Women Who Care, if you want to support this kind of transformative change, art and actions towards a walkable and bikeable community, we'd really appreciate your support for people-oriented transportation through the Homer Cycling Club this year. Thanks so much. And apologies for that.
Okay, thank you, everyone. This is a time where I'm sure there's questions we can alternate between questions from the room, questions from the Zoom room. So again, thanks, Hannah, for multitasking. Would you like me to jump to the Zoom room? Or are you good if you're answering questions too? I hadn't thought through that part.
I can just run back and forth.
Okay,
Or Kyra can jump over here.
okay. Great. So are there any questions for any of our presenters? And presenters, feel free to come back up here so that people can see you on the Zoom room if you would like.
How many people does Hannah think might be served in the program?
That is a wonderful question, and I messaged the Kenai Peninsula Director as I was driving here tonight because I realized I don't have that information and I'm waiting for an answer, so I haven't got a text back. So I don't know exactly how many youth are being served locally. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And the Kenai Peninsula Director is in Homer, right?
Yes, so Jane Dunn, who used to do the Students in Transition Homelessness Program with the Kenai Peninsula Borough School District, is now the Kenai Peninsula Director for Choosing Our Roots, and she lives here in Homer.
So is there anybody? Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I was wondering, Hannah, what government agencies CORE partners with?
They have state funding, state of Alaska. I'm assuming
Okay.
Department of Health and Social Services.
So do they have any interaction with OCS?
I do not know the answer to that question.
That's the beauty of 100 Women Who Cares, people who are passionate in the community, not necessarily always the person who works with the organization who has all of the nitty-gritty details. So, but I bet we could drill down on that if necessary. Yeah, go ahead.
Hannah, I'm trying to understand how the money would go to licensing. Are you, can you talk a little bit more about the money flow?
Yeah.
If we make a contribution.
So right now with childcare, the only income is tuition based, so it comes from the parents that are enrolled. And this year we have a large portion on scholarships, so we're a little cattywampus. And because we're moving from a group home to a center, we're expanding from like 4 or 6 kids to 20. And so we are needing to upgrade like tables and chairs and so that we can house the number of students. And then there's also things like background checks and fingerprinting and CPR trainings and all these aspects of licensing that the teachers have to do that costs a substantial amount. That's just adds up, along with having to move to a new location that we're paying rent. which we've never paid rent before, so.
So and it'd be all those individual in-home
Right,
times that
right
would be
now,
going to one.
no, right now it's just my program is expanding with the intention that if we can get my forest school license, we'll have a system in place to be able to help those other programs also get licensed.
Hannah, are there any questions online?
Yes, one for Hannah. What ages do the four schools serve?
We serve kids from 6 months through first grade.
Great. And then a question for me, which is the money solely to the Southern Peninsula? And yes, it would stay local.
I don't.
Is Tiny Tree set up as a nonprofit?
We are not, no, we're not a nonprofit. Right now, our fiscal sponsor would be the Center for Alaska Systems.
Hannah, I'm wondering, are you able to accommodate families that have children with neurodiversity or disabilities?
Yeah, we tend, I mean, a lot of the kids that I sometimes end up with are kids that have been kicked out of traditional daycares. Just because being outside is just a little bit easier for everyone. So, yeah, my background is a master's in special education, so we have that skill set.
There's another question for you, Hannah. How many children does Tiny Tree serve?
We have 26 enrolled in my program. Out of all the programs, we have 55 children.
And another question online, will Choosing Our Roots serve Homer students and youth? And yes, that it's Southern Kenai Peninsula. Oh, and there's a couple hands raised. Patrice?
Hi, I have a question. It's about the Choosing Our Roots. I think it's related to the one you just mentioned, but does the money all stay here? Or does any of our money, would any of our money go to the larger organization?
So it is a statewide organization, but they have a Kenai Peninsula chapter. So it would go to the Kenai Peninsula chapter, but the local directors who I worked on this presentation with, and they confirmed that it would stay in our region in Southern Kenai. And she is located here in Homer.
Meaning just Homer?
She lives here in Homer, but it would support the Southern Kenai.
So
Okay.
that's the Miniltrick South from my nonprofit. I'm looking at the ceiling because that's where your voice is coming from.
And then Kathy has a question.
Yes, I have a question for Hannah, because I have two questions. One is that, just to clarify, because I know that we can only support nonprofits, you say that you are not a nonprofit?
Correct, but our fiscal agent is Center for Alaska Coastal Studies.
Okay, so I guess I'm still a little confused about that, but so my next question would be, I mean, I know when my children were little and I had them in daycare in Homer, the individual people that had the daycares had to be licensed. So are there other home care, child care places in Homer that are licensed? And I'm just wondering how would that be if we helped one person to get a home care license? I mean, I totally agree. There's a huge need for childcare in this town, but I'm just wondering if we did it for you, wouldn't we have to do it for everyone? Or do you understand my question?
Yeah, I do. And in a great world, we'd all be able to have support getting licensed. For me, my goal is if I'm able to get licensed, I will have the roadmap to be able to help the other 5 programs that I support get licensed. Right now, you do not have to be licensed if you have 4 children or less in your care. So that is why the other Tiny Trees programs are not currently pursuing it, because of the numbers. In our town, we only have 3 total licensed homes and 1 center.
But they all had to get their license on their own, correct?
They did.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mhm.
I think we've probably reached or exceeded 5 minutes of Q&A. Are there any other pressing questions, and we'll move on? doesn't look like it. And so I think, Kara, you have the voting poll power down at the bottom. So it's not going to be a super big rush. The people here in the room, the easiest way to get to the vote is to go to the email that had the Zoom link in. You can just click on that Zoom link, make sure it's on mute, or else we'll have crazy feedback to everybody. And that's where we'll have the vote. And we'll just take our time. We'll be able to see when everybody has voted. But here are the choices. It says, who should we write our checks to? And so it's in the order that we saw the presentations. Choosing Our Roots, Center for Alaskan Coastal Studies is Tiny Trees, and Homer Cycling Club is a fiscal sponsor for Drawdown. For those reasons discussed, that way our checks will be going to a nonprofit.
Did my phone look like that?
Yeah, should I have a?
I don't.
We don't have it. It's not coming up.
Oh, sorry.
Launch. There we go. There you go.
Okay.
What day did you send that email? Sunday.
Sunday.
Was it from Women Who Care?
Yeah, 100 women.
I mean, I remember seeing it, I just
Yeah.
not finding it.
Yeah. I don't think, I can't vote, but you can vote. Okay,
You can from your phone.
can I?
Yep.
Well, I didn't get to vote last time.
So as a co-host, I can't, but on my phone, I should be able to. See. Let's see. I'm gonna find it on my phone. Oh. Okay. Oh.
It's not just me.
Well, I check on the email.
Oh. On the slides without thinking.
Oh, it's just even.
Recording in progress.
The title of the email was details for our meeting.
Did everybody find the poll on their phone?
Did you find it?
No.
Are you on the Zoom line?
I am Zoom, I am on it now, so I just said I'm on it.
Yeah. Go to the three dots at the bottom.
Or those calls. Okay, great.
Do we stay in the fall?
You can leave once you voted. You can leave the Zoom meeting. If you're here in person, you can leave the Zoom meeting after you voted.
So. Do you know them? I do. Yeah.
How many people have voted?
Can you see? If I open it up, everybody's. So I was. So I can probably. Yeah. One for.
Oh, so everybody who's on. Yeah, it seems like everybody's voted. Does anyone? Okay.
It's my fault. If you, can you hit the dots at the bottom or?
She's not on.
Oh, I didn't know it's the link.
I needed
You
want to log in Zoom? It might not make a difference. So I won't dash something.
See if that works.
But I think people. It has to be some.
And then I had to download Zoom. My Zoom was out of date.
Well, actually, some of those online people are gonna be people in the room too, though. So anyone who's in the room should get off.
Yeah, if you're in the room, can you close out of Zoom and out?
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out who's online and who's in the room. By the way, everybody's voted.
I couldn't get off for a minute.
One more.
All right, okay, we just got. All right, so Karen, you could share the results. Okay, so Yeah, everybody got votes. And I think that reflects how strong all the presentations and all the causes are today. Choosing our routes is who we are going to write $100 check to. Of course, you can write more than one check. I've got some pens up here if anyone needs a pen. I've got a basket to pop it in. Or you're going to be mailing it to the Art Shop Gallery, and for some reason I don't have that memorized at this moment.
The Zoom people can't see what's going on the screen anymore.
Uh-oh. Thank you.
I wonder if you end it.
Okay, hit end call.
Oh, might pop up. Now.
Yeah, now you can share results. Oh, there you go. Now do you see it?
There we go. Thank you. Yep.
Yay, thank you for letting us know. I think the way it was on the screen, we couldn't see that there was more steps.
Yeah, great.
Okay, so there you go, choosing our routes. Central for Alaskan Coastal Studies if you want to do an additional, and Homicide Club if you want to do additional. And so it would go, if you're mailing it in, mail it to the Art Shop Gallery, 202 West Pioneer Ave, 99603. And you can write 100 Women Who Care on the envelope, so Joelle knows that it's a check for us. If there's anyone online or in the room, but I think I recognize pretty much everyone in the room. If there's anyone who is not signed up as a member and isn't getting newsletters, you can email me at the number 100womenhomer@gmail.com. We'll get you signed up, and just a reminder, it's easy for the people here to get in the cookie drawing, but get your checks into the Art Shop Gallery before the end of business next Friday, and you'll be in the cookie drawing.
I just want to say thank you to everyone and the other presenters. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather.
Yeah.
My sister.
Katriana, are you still there?
I am.
Is choosing our routes, we make the check to them, there's no other organization?
That's correct. They are, this is the, just how it's written there, they are a nonprofit organization. They have the ability to cash checks.
Thank you.
Not a member yet.
Okay.
So I will throw it out later.
Yeah, and so, yeah, the campus this quarter is your thing. Yeah. Thank you. Good practice. It is good.
It is, you know, and now.
Hey.
Huge awesome.
You can put your name.
Put your,
Oh, yeah,
put
yeah.
your name in
No.
again, yeah.
It'll help when we have our fundraiser.
Yeah.
If, I guess I'll send out another email because I forgot to announce this part. If anyone's interested in doing the review of the guidelines, let me know. We need to set a date. We kind of committed to doing that this fall. I am gone from the 25th of September. But we could meet at the end of October and discuss that. So I'll send out an email.
Katrina, can you say what you said again? The microphone in the room is picking up on someone else's conversation.
I guess I didn't add it to my notes. So I will send it out to an email about getting together to set a date to get together to discuss our guidelines and to make any updates to the procedure.
There's a question about donating to the other organizations. Will they send it the same address?
You send all the checks. to How much money we have gathered in total for all the organizations. Yeah, send it, you can put it all. Or send it in and I'll distribute that.
I know, it's funny, because when I left Catch My Kids, I was like, I'm never gonna walk myself into this corner again. Here I am, I walk myself. But it's all right, we've got a good team now.
Yeah.
And
I'm already.
Can you,
what I really love about it is.
Yeah, I get that, but you said that we can also donate to the other charities if we want in addition.
Yeah. Understanding the question correctly, you would write.
I can only hear the tiny trees conversation right now, Catriona. I can't hear you. Sorry.
Maybe I misunderstood the question. You can write more than one check. You would write it to Homer Cycling Club, you would write it to Center for Alaska Coastal Studies, and you would send it to the Art Shop Gallery.
It's good to play. Sounds good to play.
So even if you write it to another one of the organizations that wasn't selected this evening, it's still good if you send it to the Art Shop Gallery as if you're writing it to the main vote winner.
Thank you. Yes, that was my question. Sorry, I'm such a newbie.
I know we're.
Somehow I just don't end up saying on top of that stuff.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks.
I don't think it's that they even.
I know.
Is that the green chest or so right before?
Okay.
So it's the old
It's called Little Profits Forward, the non-motorized.